Number of comments made about Alex Grinch not necessarily being the best at defensive coordinator. A lot of bend and don't break kind of comments, and not just responding to the chat here, but to the comments that come into the channel on a daily basis. I'm going to give it a look in terms of defensive rankings, but off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure that if you track Alex Grinch at Washington State, first and foremost, that those defenses were ranking 100, 105th in the nation before he arrived, and they quickly went to 70 to 50 and reached the top 30 in the country at Washington State. He went to Oklahoma, a similar trend, up from 100-ish in the country to top 30 type level, points against and yardage per game.
Yeah, so, I mean, the Alex Grinch skepticism, it's just really curious because, like, folks, you watched Mike Stoops' defenses at Oklahoma. You saw what a tire fire that was. You saw what an absolute unmitigated disaster Oklahoma's defenses were. And so the real piece of perspective to bring here is that Alex Grinch inherited an unholy mess. Like, he wasn't going to recreate the 1985 Bears. Like, was that our expectation? If it was, it shouldn't be. All right. And so, so lifting a defense from like number 100, as Mark just said, to number 40, okay, doesn't sound very sexy. Like, you're not a top 20 defense. But first off, look at how low the floor was when Alex Grinch inherited those various situations at Washington State, at Oklahoma, now at USC. So, and the other point of all this is that he doesn't need to have a top 20 defense. If USC has like a number 50 defense, in the top, comfortably in the top half of the 130 team FBS. If USC is in the top 50, top 45, that should be good enough. That should be good enough to get this team where it wants to go. Now, of course, we can always allow for a statistical anomaly or an aberration where the 12-game average is good, but you give up, 50 points twice and you lose a couple of 50 to 47 games and you don't make your goal. There might be a statistical aberration such as that. But on balance, if you were to tell me USC is going to be number 53 in the country in scoring defense this year, first off, would you take it? Yes, please. And that's the easy answer there. And second, will USC have a successful season? Yes, I think so. If USC is like in the low 50s, high 40s, that's, did you see USC last year on defense? So that would certainly, I think, bring this program where it needs to go. I think you would get the 10-2 record in a 12-game schedule. You would get the appearance in the Pac-12 championship game with a chance to play for everything, with a chance to play. Well, 10-2 won't be lead for to the playoff, but if USC is playing in the Pac-12 championship game for a chance to go to the Rose Bowl in year one, sign me up. Sign everyone up. Like, I think almost every USC fan. There might be a small sliver of fans who would hold out for, oh, well, I won't sign on the dotted line for that deal. I'd like to see if we can actually make the playoff. Fair enough. But most USC fans, if you told them they go 10-2 in the Pac-12 title game, playing for a spot in the Rose Bowl, yes, please. We've been in the wilderness way too long to get overly greedy about year one. We know that in year two, 2023, Lincoln's going to have this program rocking and rolling. He's going to address the depth concerns. He's going to bring in more of his guys. The thin elements of the roster that we're seeing this offseason, those problems might not be eliminated, but they're going to be severely reduced. So if it's 10-2 playing in the Pac-12 title game, yes. And if the defense is just, top 50, top 55, I'm pretty convinced that that's going to be good enough to get USC to that level.